Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we are strapping in for what feels like the fastest platform showdown in recent memory. We're going deep on the near simultaneous launch of two major AI-powered web browsers, Microsoft and OpenAI. Yeah, when we talk about high-stakes competition, this is pretty much it. So our mission today, cut through the noise, really distill the actual features, especially the ambitious new stuff, and try to understand the competitive meaning of this double launch. We've got some great analysis here covering Microsoft's updated Edge Copilot mode, and crucially, it's launched just 2 days after OpenAI showed off their Atlas browser. That timing alone, I mean, it makes it clear the browser itself is now like the front line in the AI war.
It really is. It feels like a huge shift. For years, the browser's been, well, mostly a passive window, right? Just a
Oh,
way to navigate. But the sources we're looking at highlight a shared vision here that goes way beyond just searching or clicking links. We seem to be moving from that passive tool to something more like a dynamic, intelligent companion.
a companion. That sounds significant.
It is. Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman really articulated this vision for Copilot mode in Edge. He described it as evolving into an AI browser that is your dynamic, intelligent companion.
Hmm.
And that word companion is key, I think. It implies agency, active help, not just waiting for you to type something.
Okay, I want to really dig into that companion idea because that suggests, well, the whole relationship we have with the internet is changing, isn't it? What does it actually mean for an AI to be dynamic and intelligent when I'm just, trying to book a complicated trip or compare prices on something?
Right. Well, it means the AI is aware of what you're doing across your browsing session,
Hmm.
contextually aware. Assuming you give it permission, of course, that's crucial. This is the core function that really defines this new category. Copilot, for instance, is designed to essentially see and reason over your open tabs.
Hmm.
Imagine your browser window is like a briefcase full of documents. Before, you had to pull everything out and compare it manually. Now, the idea is the AI assistant can synthesize the context from everything you've got open.
Huh. So it's not just sticking a chatbot in the corner of the screen. This sounds more like a fundamental redesign of how we get information online. And for the person listening, this is positioned as maybe the next really critical piece of software you rely on, like right up there with your OS.
I think that's the ambition, absolutely. And
Yeah.
the sophistication here, the level they're aiming for, that's what makes the timing so tense. It really does feel
Yeah.
like a genuine tech standoff. You've got both companies delivering these massive, complex product updates in the same week.
Yeah, that timing, it's so dramatic. Was it like pure competitive gamesmanship or just how the development cycles happened to land?
The analysis suggests it's probably a bit of both. We know Copilot Mode's development, the broader work took months. It was on a schedule. But launching these major new feature sets for Copilot Mode and Atlas in the same calendar week, that definitely ramps up the perceived tension between Microsoft and OpenAI. It really signals that both teams decided, almost simultaneously, that this integrated AI browser is the crucial high ground they need to grab right now.
Okay, but before we get deeper into the new features, we should probably clarify the timeline for Copilot mode in Edge. Because that October 23rd event felt huge, but it wasn't strictly the first time Edge had AI built in, was it?
That's a really important point for accuracy. You're right. Copilot Mode in Edge actually had an initial, much quieter debut back in July. And back then, it was pretty basic. Mostly things like a persistent search bar on new tabs, maybe some natural voice navigation for simple stuff. Helpful, sure, but
Right.
not revolutionary.
Right, not the companion we were just talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The October event recently, though, that wasn't just an update. It felt like a wholesale relaunch. It introduced those key, ambitious functions that really push it into the AI browser category and put the whole idea at center stage, as the source puts it. It transformed Copilot from, a helpful assistant into more of a full-fledged agent.
Right. And that's where the real power lies, isn't it? Let's move past just summarizing web pages and talk about those big game-changing features. The relaunch brought in these new capabilities that really do make Copilot feel like an active agent. So the first big category is actions. We hear that term a lot in AI now. What does it actually mean when a browser AI performs an action? Can you give a practical example that's more than just finding information?
Sure. An action basically means moving from just analyzing information to actually doing something with it. It lets the AI not just read the web, but interact with it on your behalf. The simplest examples given are things like booking a hotel or filling out forms. But the complexity under the hood there is, Well, it's huge. Think about the technical challenge of function calling. The AI takes your plain English instruction, figures out the steps needed, talks to external websites or APIs, maybe checks data, and then completes a transaction or fills out a long form.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so if you tell Copilot something like, book me a hotel room in Seattle, needs to be under $200, free cancellation, and use my saved credit card. You're asking it to handle logistics, interact with third-party sites, manage security, remember your preferences. That's a massive leap from just showing search results.
That definitely shifts the AI from being like a helpful librarian to more like a personal assistant who can actually do things.
Okay.
But the other feature group, journeys, sounds maybe even more complex because it's about reasoning across things, not just executing a single task.
Journeys are, I'd argue, maybe the most profound innovation here, technically speaking. This feature lets Copilot trace connections between your open tabs.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine you got like 10 tabs open planning that Seattle trip. 3 flight options, 2 hotel review sites, a blog post about the light rail, your budget spreadsheet. Copilot, with Journeys, is designed to synthesize all of that context together at the same time.
So it's not just reading tab 1, then reading tab 2 separately. It's spotting the potential conflict between tab 1 and tab 2.
Exactly. Precisely. A really good example would be, say you're looking at a flight that lands at 6 a.m., and the hotel you like requires checkout by 10 a.m. the day you leave. But the local transport guide you have open says the earliest airport bus only starts running at 7 a.m. A human would have to manually notice that three-way conflict, right? The timing just doesn't work. A Copilot journey is designed to spot that logistical clash automatically, flag the problem, maybe suggest looking for other transport, or even prompt you to check different flights.
Okay, that's genuinely different. It's the difference between just automating a simple task and applying sophisticated reasoning across lots of messy, real-world data points. It really takes the browser from being a passive utility and turns it into that active dynamic companion you mentioned right at the start.
Absolutely. And this level of functional ambition, trying to build these complex actions and journeys, is what leads us directly to the next point, the incredible visual similarity. When you have two different teams racing towards basically the same functional goal, enabling these complex tasks and holistic reasoning, they kind of inevitably end up designing very similar interfaces to make it work.
I mean, yeah, looking at the demo images side by side, Microsoft's Copilot for Edge and OpenAI's Atlas, the similarity is, frankly, shocking. The analysis notes they look pretty much the same product visually. It's almost uncanny how similar they look, coming from two separate projects launching at almost the same time.
We should probably quickly mention the differences, although, like you said, they seem pretty minor. Cosmetic tweaks, mostly. For instance, Copilot in Edge tends to use Windows design styles, darker backgrounds maybe. Atlas, in the demos, seemed to follow macOS conventions more closely. Functionally, there was maybe a slight difference in layout. Atlas seemed to like a split-screen view, taking more space. Copilot often put its ride-along help in a new tab interface. Little things.
So yeah, subtle choices, on-screen layout, button styles, but the fundamental structure, that persistent sidebar that understands your context, that looks identical.
Exactly. And the analysis provides a pretty logical reason for this convergence. Browsers just, well, they have to look somewhat similar anyway, don't they? You need a URL bar, you need tabs, you need the main content window. And when you add a persistent AI assistant that needs to see your context, there are really only so many ways to integrate a chatbot window into the new tab screen or the sidebar without completely blocking what you're trying to read. The function really dictates the form here.
Okay, so if the interfaces look almost the same and the big picture functions taking actions, understanding journeys sound conceptually the same, then the real competition can't just be about the user interface anymore, can it? What actually matters most to the user then? Where's the real battleground?
This is the absolute core of it. We have to shift focus from the look and feel, and even from the high-level feature names, to the thing that actually makes the difference. The underlying AI models. The source material is very clear on this. For users, the ultimate difference between Edge with Copilot and Atlas, or whatever comes next, it's going to come down to the engine powering the experience.
Right. When we say underlying models, we mean more than just the large language model generating the chat text, don't we? What are the key things that will actually decide which one is better?
We're talking about several critical factors, yeah.
Yeah.
One big one is access to proprietary knowledge. Does one model have better, more up-to-date, or more deeply integrated real-time information that the other one can't see? You know, if Copilot leans heavily on Bing's live web index, maybe Atlas has access to a different, perhaps more carefully curated internal data set. That could make a huge difference when it's trying to synthesize complex current information for you.
Okay, data access. What else?
Another absolutely crucial element is latency. Just speed. How fast can the model think? When you ask the AI to do a multi-step action, like booking that flight we talked about, the whole experience just grinds to a halt if the model takes ages to process each step. So the winning browser needs an underlying model that can handle really complex reasoning quickly and reliably, especially coordinating multiple steps, talking to external sites. Speed is just paramount for making it feel seamless.
And reliability, I guess. Especially if it's handling money or critical travel plans. That seems non-negotiable.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable. If one model makes a mistake in a complex journey, books the wrong date, misses a crucial connection because it misinterpreted something, the user's going to switch immediately. Trust is everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't stick around.
No way.
Yeah.
So the fact that we see this functional and visual convergence happening so fast, so publicly, in the same week, it just reinforces that the real pressure isn't necessarily on the UI designers anymore. It's squarely on the core AI engineering teams. The real race is about building the model that reasons faster, more accurately, handles the messiest real-world tasks, and basically minimizes friction for you, the user.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up what we've covered in this deep dive. We've basically established this new product category, the AI browser, and it's moving fast from just helping out a bit to being this powerful, proactive agent. It can coordinate logistics, actually do things via actions, and understand complex context using journeys. And all this is exploding onto the scene in this like dizzying week of parallel launches from Microsoft and OpenAI.
Right. And the core tension is fascinating. It looks so similar on the surface. They promise roughly the same kinds of advanced features. But the actual winner, the one people will prefer, will likely be decided entirely by that unseen intelligence, the AI model running underneath. So for you listening, the big takeaway is simple, I think. The era of the purely passive browser window is ending. We're now starting to choose our web experience based almost purely on the smarts of the AI engine powering it.
And that intense focus on the underlying model, it leads us to the really big, maybe provocative question hanging over this whole showdown, doesn't it? If the browser interfaces are already converging this quickly and the really differences are all down to that invisible AI model, well, how long will this specific visual platform, whether it's called Edge or Atlas or something else, even matter that much? I mean, if the intelligence gets fast enough, reliable enough, could the visual browser experience itself eventually just fade away, dissolve into the operating system, or just become ambient? It's definitely something to think about as these two giants battle it out, not just for today's browser market, but maybe for control of the digital companion of the future.